This is Kathy Rogers and my daughter. Can you say your name? Julia. And we are going to talk today about grace. Grace is a really cool idea. You know, sometimes we feel like we have to do things in order to be loved, right? We have to clean our rooms or do mama's school. Not yet, Jules. But the truth is that God always loves us no matter what. So, Julia, do you ever do something bad?
Bad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. She often does something bad. And then when you do something bad, what do you say?
God.
You say sorry, right? But the truth is that God loves you. Even when you're being bad, God loves you. Just because you're you. Right. Okay, so we have been practicing the song Amazing Grace, and we're going to sing it for you. But before we do, I wanted to talk about what one of the words means. Wretch. That's such a weird word. What is a wretch? Think about, right? Julia wants to sing already. Okay, so think about the word wretched. Is it wretched good or bad?
Bad.
Right. So a wretch is someone who feels bad. And the other thing is, in the song, in the first verse, he says, I was blind, but now I see. He wasn't actually blind, right? But sometimes we get so worried about what's going on in the world, right? Right now, a lot of you might be worried or scared or stressed out. But the truth is that God, no matter what's happening, is always there, always loves us, right? Okay, so Jules and I are going to sing you guys this song. Ready, Jules?
Ready.
Ready! Okay. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. So today we will hear about a man who was important in the church. Sometimes we call these people saints. We might also call them Easter people. When we say that somebody is a saint, it doesn't mean that they are people with superpowers. No superpowers. In our church, a saint is somebody who loves God and who tried to do what God wanted them to do. Some of these people are famous, and you may already know their names. St. Patrick, St. Nicholas, for example. But many saints are not famous at all. They didn't do anything amazing that the whole world knows about, but they did God's work. There may be saints like that who you know. People like your grandmother, who cared for her children when they were sick, your uncle who quietly gave his life savings to the church, or the stranger on the street who smiles and listens to homeless people and gives them hope and friendship. Saints are regular people like you and me who do God's work. For the next few weeks, we'll be hearing about some of the saints our church wants us to know about. So this story takes place in England, in Africa, and on the high seas. Here are our high seas during the 1700s, around the time that the United States became an independent nation. Wait, we're not ready for that yet. So John Newton is a young boy. He lives in England, and his mom wants him to be a priest. But John doesn't know what he wants to do when he gets older. Sometimes he likes to play silly games, and sometimes he likes to write prayers and study the Bible for hours at a time. So, John decides that he wants to go to sea. He works on a ship for a while. Here's our ship. And he gets a reputation for swearing and for making up clever songs that poke fun at the ship's captain. Ha! When he sings these songs, the other sailors laugh. The captain gets tired of this and transfers John to another ship where he can make trouble for another captain. After a while at sea, John becomes a sea captain himself, having his own ship to sail. It is a ship that carries cargo from one country to another. Part of his cargo is slaves. John is a slave trader. He goes to Africa and he takes men and women and children who have been kidnapped and brings them to Britain to become slaves. While at sea, these people are chained at the bottom of the ship, sick and miserable, and many die. Although John complains about how badly they are treated and feels uncomfortable about what he is doing, for several years he continues to transport people to England and a life of slavery. One day, when John is at sea, his ship runs into a bad storm. And it almost sinks. John is very frightened. But luckily, his ship makes it to shore, barely. With all of the food and the water tossed overboard by the storm and parts of the ship damaged or wrecked, his crew is lucky to be alive. Suddenly, John knows that there is a God who hears and answers prayers and has answered his prayers, but John is still not ready to follow God. And then, as he is getting ready for his fourth voyage, John gets sick. John. All right. Come on out, John. John is very sick. John gets sick. He is so sick, he's too sick to sail. And he gives his command of the ship to someone else on the day the ship is set to sail away. We're going to put the people back in the ship, okay? But John is not in the ship. As he lies waiting for the ship to return from sea, he learns that there is a huge storm. The captain that John had hired to take his place and most of the crew, you want to drop this one in the ocean? Drop it in the bowl. Most of the crew had died in that storm. There he is. John will never sail again. Perhaps this is a sign from God. For John has gradually become convinced that the slave trade is evil, it's bad, and he is sorry he was ever involved in it. Now he is ready for God. Called by God to minister in the church, John becomes a priest in England when he is 39 years old. You're not sick anymore, John. You can take the mask off. He makes friends with a poet named William Cowper. William writes poetry while John writes sermons. John then begins to write hymns to sing in church. In his room in the attic of his house, he writes. John published a book of hymns that he and William Cowper wrote. One of those hymns was Amazing Grace that Julie and I sang for you, which has become well known to Christians everywhere. He wrote many other hymns as well. The end. Say bye, Julia.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.